Hey guys. So, breathing is something that we do every moment of every day, right? But the way we breathe, did you guys know this? It can directly impact our energy, our stress levels, and how our body functions. Oh my goodness, you guys, reorganizing how we breathe. In this episode, we're going to walk through how our oxygen fuels the body at a cellular level and why shallow breathing keeps us in a constant state of tension. We have to be able to breathe deeply, guys. And we're also going to be talking about how our breathing patterns can influence our nervous system more than we actually realize. Yes, our breathing is automatic, but it's foundational, and we have to concentrate on our breathing rhythms. When it is shallow, restricted, or rush, our body responds with that stress. But when we breathe intentionally and on purpose, we're actually creating space for our blood flow, our oxygen to regulate and give us our energy. So, are you guys ready to get into it? Let's go. Welcome to Life Reassembled. This is the podcast where we learn how to reassemble our lives. I'm Julie Renee. I'm a life coach specializing in trauma recovery and a speaker. Together, we're going to be exploring what it really means to reassemble our lives on the rock after we've spent our entire lives piecing it together on sand. Here, we're going to talk about healing the mind, renewing the spirit, and organizing the parts of our lives that were once overwhelmed by complete chaos. Each episode is a space for reflection, faith, and practical steps for living with peace and intention. So, take a deep breath with me, settle in with some warm coffee, and let's begin reassembling our lives, piece by piece, together. Today, we're talking about something that's so constant that we don't ever really think about it. Breathing. It's automatic, it's continuous, and it's sustaining us every day. Without our breath, without this oxygen, we have no life. So it's very imperative that we really start assembling it to make sure that we're getting the most out of a daily and consistent gift. So even though our breathing happens all the time, we never really think about it. It's so on autopilot that our brains never really take a time to think about it until it becomes apparent that we need to think about it, right? The way that we breathe changes how we feel, how we function, and how our body responds to stress. So today we're going to slow this down, we're going to break it apart, and we're going to reassemble it together. I want to hear how you're establishing these breathing exercises into a better life. Let's dive deeper into what's going underneath our oxygen and cellular energy. It's the foundation. Our oxygen is what fuels our body. That makes a lot of sense, right? Without breathing, if we hold our breath too long, we start to lose oxygen to our brain. Every cell relies on oxygen to produce energy. So when we're breathing well, oxygen is going to be delivered efficiently, and the body has what it needs to function better. But when breathing is shallow or restricted, you guys know what this feels like. That supply is limited, and we will feel this. We will feel it in fatigue, we'll feel it in brain fog, we'll feel it in low energy, difficulty focusing. And it's not that we're not trying, it's honestly a lot of it is because we're having shallow or restricted breathing. The body isn't receiving what it needs consistently. Breathing is more than just an automatic system. It's functional. And we have to support everything that functions in our body in order to reassemble at our fullest capacity. So most people, I'm included, when we're under pressure, we tend to breathe shallowly, which means we're doing short breaths. We're doing the upper chest movement, quick tightening breath patterns because we're kind of like in that survival mode. But the body interprets that as a signal. Hey, something's wrong. What's going on? So even if we're sitting and nothing really is happening to us, our body is reacting as if something is. So our heart rate may increase, our muscles will stay tense, and our nervous systems will remain alert. And over time, this can be a really bad habit or a pattern because anything that we repeat enough will start to begin to feel normal. And shallow breathing does more than reflect stress. It reinforces it. So we have to be really careful not to have this be our go-to and our habit. We have to get rid of this habit as soon as possible if you're realizing that you're doing the shallow breathing. We need to be So how do we do this? How do we have healthy breathing habits? So remember, our goal isn't to control every breath. Like that's just not possible, but it's to create conditions around us where healthier breathing becomes a natural thing. So we do this completely automatically, but we're doing it correctly. So the best thing to do is our posture. Our posture is super key, guys. And we talked about this, I believe, last week or the week before in regards to how our body does movement and stretching and things of that nature. We've gotten so lazy without even realizing it that our bodies are completely aging in a way that they weren't supposed to. So a posture, sitting up straight, standing up straight, and that work is painful, right? Like you have to do what's good, especially if you're having back issues or whatever. You need to do what's best for your body in the best posture as possible. So if that includes physical therapy, amazing. But any way that you can get that posture corrected will definitely affect how you breathe. So when we're slouched or compressed, our lungs don't have the space to fully expand. So that's like the number one reason why our posture pulls our shoulders back, it pulls open our chest, and we have that room for our lungs to just take in that deep breath. It's so amazing. And that's just normal breathing. I'm not talking about concentrated breathing or box breathing or anything like that. So if we're just doing that slight adjustment, it really makes a huge improvement just on our airflow. So to go back to movement, it naturally encourages our breathing to go deeper. And deep breathing is very valuable to our brains and our bodies. So walking, stretching, light activities that makes the body move, gets you out of that restricted pattern, especially if you do a lot of sitting at your job or you're just in a situation where you have to do a lot of driving or whatever it may be. To try to do as much movement as you can outside of those times, a lot of stretching outside of those times will help you tremendously. But again, when you're sitting in the car, if you have the right posture, your shoulders back, chest out, that helps when you're sitting. So there are ways of doing natural breathing without having to make it difficult. And when you walk, it also supports circulation and breathing at the same time. I love stacking, and that's a great stacker right there. Getting fresh air. So our environment matters more than we think. If you're indoors a lot, again, I hate those plug-in things, anything that smells good, but it's not natural and it's chemically induced in order to smell that way is really probably not that good for our brains. So trying to get more natural candles, they have oil sticks, things like that if you're going to do anything indoors to help with the smell. So I get it if you don't want your house to smell like fish. So there are ways, of course, like I'm not saying throw everything out, but just be mindful of what you do have and what you are using in a consistent basis. Now, if you're in a situation where they're using it at work and you don't really have too much control over that, just do your best to avoid getting close to that area where that fragrance is coming from. So the further back you are from that, as much as you possibly can, at least you're eliminating the higher chance of inhaling that because that goes directly to our brains. So getting fresh air as much as possible, stepping outside, even for a little while, can really help your breathing almost immediately. It gives your body that fresh oxygen and space to reset your brain. So again, stacking that benefit of just resetting and getting oxygen. It's a win-win. Now, we can be intentional about our breathing. So throughout the day, especially if you're feeling yourself, your blood pressure is rising or you're getting angry for whatever reason, or you just need a moment, you're overwhelmed, the best thing to do is to breathe. It really just calms everything down. So when you're breathing at your fullest capacity and you're taking that mindful breathing, it brings oxygen straight into your frontal lobe cortex. This is where your executive functions give you healthy thinking through decision making, planning, working memory, impulse control, and your personality expression, which is amazing. So that's why it's so imperative when you're angry or upset to breathe, because I always talk about when you're upset, you're thinking the back of your brain, which is like survival mode and defense mode, and I'm going to eat you mode, versus the frontal cortex where it's your decision making, your healthy brain, and you're able to make the decisive decision in that moment. Even if you're wrong, it's a better decision than thinking in the back of your brain where it's just pretty much out of survival. So mindful breathing is just that, being mindful of your breathing. You're taking slower, fuller breaths. You're aware of your breathing, and you have to pay attention to if you're feeling tight or if you're feeling rushed in any way. You want to do this throughout the day as much as you possibly can. Anytime you think about it, again, the short walks throughout the day, your posture, stepping outside for fresh air, all of this is going to help your body breathe more effectively and reassemble it in a simple, practical way that really you don't have to change your lifestyle. It's just a matter of kind of readjusting it as you're applying it, and it'll become a new habit out of nowhere. Like so soon, you guys won't even realize it. Like, oh, I'm standing up straight. I'm sitting up straight. I'm getting oxygen to my lungs. I'm going to start taking more walks throughout the day. I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to take 2 minutes, guys. I cannot talk about this enough. The 2-minute reset is so powerful, of just breathing and thinking about nothing else but your breath, being present in the moment, doing your prayer. Like that 2 minutes where life around you doesn't necessarily exist. Like you're aware of it. Like you guys know that your life exists, but you're not letting your life control your every second. And I love it how Tony Robbins says, if you don't have 2 minutes, you don't have a life. And so he talks about that in regards to the morning routine that he does with the gratitude and reaching out to people he loves and doing that prayer, and then just that quiet time. And that's like his go-to no matter what. Like he will always make sure like that is sacred and protected. And if you're a busy person like I am, having 2 minutes throughout the day here and there really makes a big difference to kind of get you back centered, so to speak, and like, okay, everything's fine. I can breathe. And I have other exercises you can do when it comes to organizing stress. It's crazy. You guys, we can be so functional when we do this, but breathing is a huge part of it. And that's what today is about. We have to remember too that our breath comes from God. God breathed into Adam. And so I truly believe, because we are Adam's children, that we also carry the breath of God. So even in those 2 minutes, if that you can remember, like, oh my gosh, just be still and know that I am God, right? That's the Psalm. And you just like, remembering that the breath in our lungs belongs to him. And it is a gift that he gives it to us. And so to take care of it properly is such a beautiful way to honor our breath, to honor our body, to honor our brain. Anywhere that we can reassemble our brains and keep it functioning at the highest level, I am all for. So it's not complicated. You're not forcing a lot of stuff. It's like super simple, you guys. Like that's the episode. It's super simple, but I just wanted to give these tips to you to encourage you that even something that's simple can change your life. And guess what? It's free. It's something that you already have. It is a tool in your tool belt that you already have, that God has given to you since the second you were conceived. And so it is so beautiful. Well, when you come out of the womb, you breathe, but like you have to have the oxygen inside too. It is such a beautiful, wonderful gift to have breath, to have a way for our bodies to function with oxygen. And so I want the breathing support that you do in your daily life to be very intentional. I don't want you guys just to go through your whole lives and just like, oh yeah, I breathe, like whatever. No, like there's so many practices about breathing. They have apps about breathing. They have all this meditation things about breathing, because they realize like, oh, hey, this is actually important. We should be breathing better. So I encourage you guys to concentrate on your breathing, being aware that this is something that you could do a little bit more in. And again, it becomes a new habit so quickly that you won't even realize that you're doing it anymore. But you're like, you can feel yourself breathing better. And I also encourage you to, we've talked about this, where if you're having a hard time breathing, even if you're doing all these things and you still have a hard time, it could be your nutrition intake. I was having a hard time breathing just because I was eating fast food a lot, and all that junk was really blocking my arteries, and I couldn't breathe very well. And so I had to like lean over. I had to like purposely take breaths just to breathe normally. Like this was a consistent daily thing. And like I didn't realize how my eating habits were contributing to my breathing patterns. So I'm not going to go into that too much today, but just keep that awareness of like, hey, how you're eating can also affect how you breathe. If you don't have room in your veins to get the oxygen because it's blocked by all this junk, I just like calling it junk because that's what it is. Like inside your body, what it turns into is just junk, and it's in the way. It's blocking the natural flow of oxygen. So just be mindful of that. Be aware of it. You can do this hand in hand with eating healthier and walking and standing up straight. Like that could be a possibility. So start wherever you feel it needs to be the most necessary. This is something you could do even right now as we're speaking. And I really believe that when your breathing starts to shift and you're breathing better and your mind settles easier, everything else that we work on becomes easier to support. I love you guys. If you feel like this is helpful to anybody, please feel free to share. Join us on our Facebook group. We'd love to see you on there. Reach out to me on DM on Instagram if you want to reach out to me. And then also check out our programs. Go on the website. We have different options there if you guys are interested in taking this a little bit further and going deeper into what your needs are specifically. All right, I will talk to you guys next week. Bye. Thank you for joining us for today's conversation on Life Reassembled. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who is also rebuilding their life, because none of us are meant to do this alone. To keep growing with us, join us on the Life Reassembled Facebook community. Check out our free identity blueprint on our website, or learn more about our coaching and upcoming courses at reassembledlife.com. That's re-assembledlife.com. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Life Reassembled for daily encouragement and resources. Remember that healing doesn't happen overnight, but every small step forward is part of reassembling your life.